He didn't rob banks. He didn't steal jewels. He sold love and made millions doing it. A man who turned romance into revenue and heartbreak into business. But he wasn't the only one. There was a woman who conned New York's elite out of millions. A genius who deceived Silicon Valley's brightest minds. A teenager who became a pilot, a doctor, and a lawyer before he could legally drink. And a Wall Street legend whose lie was so perfect, it fooled the entire world. They didn't steal money, they stole belief. And belief is the most expensive thing on earth. Today, we'll look at the scammers whose stories shocked the world and will still be remembered 100 years from now. Each lie was a masterpiece, but the final one will leave you speechless. Let's begin with the man who made millions selling love. Simon built a love story with every victim. He learned their dreams, their fears, their timing. He never asked for money right away. He asked for trust. The rest followed naturally. He wasn't stealing in the shadows. He was stealing in the daylight, with flowers, dinners, and good morning texts. The artistry lay in how ordinary it all seemed. He created danger. My enemies are after me. He created urgency. I'll pay you back tomorrow. And he created devotion. I can't do this without you. Each woman became both investor and believer, and by the time reality caught up, the story had already done its work. What Simon Leviev sold wasn't luxury, it was illusion. And illusion, when wrapped in love, becomes irresistible. Anna Sorokin, Anna Delvey, the fake heiress. New York City, a place where image isn't everything, it's the only thing. In 2013, a young woman appeared among the city's elite. Her name was Anna Delvey, and she said she was a German heiress worth millions. She wore designer clothes. She lived in luxury hotels. She tipped waiters in $100 bills. People noticed her, not because she asked for attention, but because she didn't. She moved through wealth like she was born into it. Behind the accent and the sunglasses, there was no fortune, no inheritance, no safety net. Only ambition. And a story she never stopped telling. Anna wanted to build a members-only art club worth $40 million. She pitched investors, charmed banks, hosted dinners beside the city's power brokers. Every handshake brought her closer to legitimacy. When bills piled up, she spun new stories. Wire transfers delayed, lawyers on vacation, trust funds pending. And people, educated, wealthy, confident people, believed her. Because Anna didn't just mimic wealth, she embodied it. In a world obsessed with appearances, she proved that pretending to belong can open the very doors that reality would keep locked. Her greatest con wasn't financial, it was psychological. She made people question their own judgment. Was she real? Was she fake? Or was she simply what everyone in New York already was? Someone performing a role. Anna Delvey didn't steal jewels or art. She stole identity itself and wore it like couture. Elizabeth Holmes and Theranos, the $9 billion lie. Serious. Every era has its prophet, someone who says, I can change everything. In the age of Silicon Valley, that prophet was Elizabeth Holmes. At 19, she dropped out of Stanford with a dream to revolutionize medicine. Her company, Theranos, promised to test hundreds of conditions from a single drop of blood. No pain, no waiting, no error. It was the perfect story for a culture obsessed with innovation. A young woman challenging giants. A visionary in a black turtleneck speaking in a deep, hypnotic voice. Investors lined up. Politicians praised her. The media crowned her the next Steve Jobs. But inside the pristine glass labs of Theranos, nothing worked. The machines produced random numbers. Tests were secretly outsourced to other labs. Data was falsified to impress the powerful. Employees who questioned her were silenced. Whistleblowers were isolated. The illusion had to stay perfect, because perfection sold. Holmes didn't just deceive investors. She deceived patients. real people whose lives depended on accurate results. She wasn't a petty fraudster, she was a myth builder. And like every myth, the truth eventually broke through. When the Wall Street Journal exposed her, the empire imploded. A company once valued at $9 billion collapsed overnight. But even as it fell, many still wanted to believe, because she represented hope, a world where a single drop of blood could save a life. Elizabeth Holmes turned belief into a business model. And when belief is the product, the truth becomes the enemy. 3 stories, 3 artists of illusion. Each used a different brush: love, status, innovation. Each painted a reality that felt almost noble until it shattered. But the next 2 would take deception to an even higher form. Beyond glamour, beyond charm, into history itself. Frank Abagnale Jr., the man who became anyone. Serious. Long before the internet, before fake profiles and deepfakes, there was a teenager who could become anyone he wanted. His name was Frank Abagnale Jr., and deception was his natural language. At 16, he learned how easily people believe what they expect to see. A confident smile, a crisp uniform, a forged signature, that was all it took. He impersonated a Pan Am pilot, flying over 250 flights across the world. He passed himself off as a doctor in Georgia, a lawyer in Louisiana, a college professor in Utah. Every lie was a performance. Every uniform was a costume. Every check he forged was applause from an audience that never realized they were part of the act. He didn't con people out of desperation. He did it for the thrill, the elegance of the illusion itself. He once said he could see people's trust forming in real time. And that, he admitted, was the most intoxicating feeling of all. The FBI chased him across continents, always one step behind. When they finally caught him, they didn't destroy him, they hired him. Frank Abagnale Jr. eventually became a consultant for the same agency that hunted him, teaching agents how deception works, how forgers think, how lies breathe. It's poetic, almost biblical. The serpent teaching the garden how to spot snakes. His story became legend, immortalized in Catch Me If You Can. But beyond Hollywood charm, it's a psychological study. Frank Abagnale proved that if you act like the person people want to believe in, they'll hand you the pen to write the rest. Identity, in his hands, became art, ever-shifting, perfectly forged, and frighteningly human. Bernie Madoff, the $65 billion illusion. Serious. Every masterpiece of deception eventually meets its architect, and his name was Bernie Madoff. He wasn't charming like Levayev, or eccentric like Holmes, or youthful like Abagnale. He was calm, measured, respected. To Wall Street, he was trust personified, the man who always delivered returns even when markets crashed. For decades, he promised stability in a world of chaos, 10% a year, no matter the season. Investors didn't question the magic, they celebrated it. Madoff's fund grew to handle billions. Celebrities, charities, universities, entire foundations placed their fortunes in his hands. His results never fluctuated, a straight upward line in a volatile world. That line was the giveaway. Perfection is always suspicious, but when money is involved, suspicion turns to silence. Behind closed doors, there were no trades, no investments, no strategy, just spreadsheets, numbers copied, rearranged, printed, and believed. Madoff ran the largest Ponzi scheme in history, $65 billion of fabricated wealth, built entirely on trust and reputation. When the 2008 financial crisis hit and investors tried to withdraw, the illusion finally cracked. There was nothing left. People lost homes, retirements, generational wealth. Charities collapsed overnight, and for many, the betrayal cut deeper than the loss. Because Madoff wasn't a stranger, he was a friend. He attended their weddings, advised their children, donated to their causes. He embodied legitimacy so perfectly that no one could imagine he was lying. When he confessed, the world didn't just lose money, it lost faith. Faith in the idea that success and honesty are the same thing. Madoff's scam was the final evolution of deception. He didn't trick people into loving him or admiring him. He made them depend on him. He became their illusion of safety, and that is the purest form of control. Bernie Madoff didn't just manipulate numbers, he manipulated belief itself. He turned trust into a currency. 5 scammers, 5 eras, 5 forms of art. Simon Leviev, love as a weapon. Anna Dalvin, status as a mask. Elizabeth Holmes, innovation as theatre. Frank Abagnale Jr., identity as illusion. Bernie Madoff, trust as empire. Each built worlds out of words, each understood the human need to believe, and each reminded us that the line between dream and deceit is paper thin. The truth is, their scams worked because they reflected something inside all of us. A hunger for meaning, a fascination with power, a craving to be close to greatness. Even if it's fake. We live in an age that worships the image, not the substance, where a profile can replace a person and confidence can pass for truth. So maybe deception isn't rare, maybe it's the water we swim in. The Tinder swindler sold love, Anna Delvey sold identity, Elizabeth Holmes sold hope, Frank Abagnale sold authority, Bernie Madoff sold certainty. But the real buyers were us. We bought their stories because we wanted them to be true. That's the secret of every great con. It's never about stealing money, it's about selling belief. And when belief is strong enough, reality obeys. Think about it. The scammer can only paint the illusion. It's the audience that chooses to see art instead of fraud. Maybe that's why we remain obsessed with these stories, because somewhere in their chaos, we see a reflection of our own longing to be special, chosen, successful, loved. And that longing is the perfect canvas for anyone who knows how to paint.